7 months ago. I thought I had a pretty healthy diet, a standard American diet. At the time, I saw an endocrinologist, and she told me it'd continue to get worse and I'd be dependent on insulin the rest of my life. Because I was newly diagnosed and I knew nothing about diabetes, I started doing my own research. And through all the research that I did, the best book I came across was There Is a Cure from Diabetes from Dr. Cousins. That just, best meaning that it resonated with me. Like, so I got this book about a week and a half or 2 weeks before I went to the Tree of Life. I was able to get in for their Reversing Diabetes program. And I got there 3 weeks after being diagnosed. But leading up to my going there, I started to go vegan and more raw. And the more I incorporated vegan and raw foods, the lower my blood sugar would get every day, and hence my dependence on insulin was getting lower. I would have to adjust my dosage. So by the time I got to the Tree of Life, I went 100% raw. And so by my third day of being, actually my second day of being 100% raw, I was able to go off insulin because my blood sugar was so low, I couldn't even take insulin if I wanted to. And I have not been on insulin since. So I've maintained raw, pretty much 100% raw since I've come back from the Tree of Life. And I have been able to remain insulin-free. And I test my blood every morning. My blood is always in a non-diabetic level. Some days it creeps up a little bit, but never enough to need insulin. It's either sometimes a little bit in a pre-diabetic level, depending, but most of the time it's non-diabetic and in the normal healthy range.
That's wonderful. And what was it when you, like right before you started doing, the raw foods? Before I started the raw, well, when I was diagnosed, my blood sugar was at 301.
Wow. That was when I was first diagnosed. And then when I was on insulin, it was just all over the place. I could not seem to get it. It was like a roller coaster ride, because some days I'd wake up and it's high, and I would take insulin and it would get too low, but then it would get right back high again. It was never. Like right now, I'm always like at a steady, pretty good pace, whereas the insulin just kind of confused my
so you must be very happy to be off the insulin, to not have to deal with that. The spikes when it falls, and then you have to eat some sugar. It's hard. There's so many diabetics dealing with that.
Yeah. I saw a new endocrinologist 3 weeks ago, and I avoided going to an endocrinologist for all that time, for 7 months. I saw a new one that was recommended to me that I knew she was supportive, so I had my blood tested, and there's a test called a hemoglobin A1C, which is a test for diabetics. And when I was first diagnosed in March, my A1C was at 11.3, which anything above 8 is you have diabetes and it's out of control. And under 6 is you don't have diabetes. So when I was first diagnosed, I was 11.3. When I was tested again, which is in July, that was March. When I was tested again in July, I was at 6.1. And when I was tested 3 weeks ago at the new endocrinologist, I was at 5.8.
Yay!
Yes, which is very, very exciting, because it's a marker of how you've been doing over a period of 2 to 3 months. Right. So it tests how the sugar in your system is attaching itself to the red blood cells. So the lower the number, the healthier your system, and under 6 is considered non-diabetic. So at this point right now, I'm considered a non-diabetic by my numbers, but obviously I have to continue to heal, and I continue to eat raw in order to keep that going for myself.
And so how is the raw food lifestyle going for you? Is it easy now, or is it still, was it ever difficult? Tell us about that for you.
I was dealing with a lot in a short amount of time.
Of course.
When I got to the Tree of Life, it's very easy there because you're in this great environment and it's like a buffet, a plethora of like raw foods to you every day, so you don't have to think about it. But so it's wonderful to get up and have all your meals, you know, there for you, but it really prepares you of the possibilities. And part of that program is also they teach you preparation, so when you go home from there, you're prepared. So yes, when I got home, I felt much more knowledgeable and prepared.
Sure. So you would definitely recommend that program to other people who are kind of looking for another way to handle their disease.
Absolutely. I think I've been blessed because that first experience with that endocrinologist was a really not a good experience, but because it was not good and because it made me so sick, it forced me to research other options, and there is another path that you could take besides just insulin, and that's the only option available to you. Yes, you need to monitor yourself. Yes, you need to be very aware, and it might not, you can't just go off your insulin and go raw. You have to monitor yourself in the process, and when you get to a certain point, you just do your numbers and you could wean yourself down. But just, for me, I never wanted to give up the hope of possibility. And when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, you kind of get this feeling that it's just this fate that someone's handed you. But I truly believe at this point that you can do everything you can to take control of your future, but it's going to be how well and how far you want to take control. But there is a different path, and there is possibility, and it's doable, and it doesn't hurt you, because even if, I mean, it's just improving what you eat. So that's like the greatest thing you can do.
Right. It's not like there's side effects. Right. You might as well try it, right? It's not going to harm you, and it can only help.
Yeah,
so
it's like people think the drug is something that's we latch onto, is like we've been conditioned to think that that's what's going to help you, and it's actually more risky to take that than it would be just to change your diet. Changing your diet is something that you could try that doesn't have side effects. It's not going to do anything but help you.
Right.
So even if you could just cut out certain things in your diet, you know, white sugar, white flour, dairy, even if you just start off with baby steps in that direction and just see how you feel and how that affects you. So my advice would be to do as much research as you can and start doing whatever you can to try to take control over yourself and the healing part of it. Because yes, you'll go to the doctor, you'll get diagnosed, you can get your medications, but you can take control of healing, because the healing's not going to really happen on that protocol. The healing's going to be up to you on how you, and what you eat and how you take care of yourself. And it's absolutely possible, and it's believing in yourself and your body's power to heal. So.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Michelle. It's such a beautiful story and really important for people to hear, and just takes a lot of courage to do what you've done, and thank you for sharing.